So let's backtrack just a little bit. So Ethereum is so the one thing that I didn't understand in 2017 when I got into this was that Ethereum wasn't necessarily a currency like Bitcoin, right? So there's a token and you can spend it, but if Bitcoin is digital gold, I was listening to the blockchain debate podcast this week, and
Mhm.
I heard a guy call it digital copper, right? It's a utility metal. Like if you're gonna have something to compare it to, it's a utility metal. And I
Compared
thought,
to oil a lot as well.
there you go. My comparison, because I'm all about analogies, is Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot. They're like digital concrete. It's a platform on which many things are and will be built, right?
But yeah.
Yeah,
A good way. I guess we should have kind of going at this backwards
it's
a
fine.
little bit.
It's fine.
Probably confusing the hell out of everybody.
It's fine.
But okay, yeah, you know what Bitcoin is? Bitcoin, blockchain, and all that. That's Bitcoin is one very specific use. Okay, but the underlying uh, technology of it, the blockchain. There's a really smart kid named Alec Buterin, and he's seen that young too. He's like 18 when he
Yeah.
started working on it. Well, he's seen how blockchain and could be applied to many things, not just currency. So basically, what Ethereum is people don't understand what when you say Bitcoin or you say cryptocurrency, and I really don't even like that term because I mean there are cryptocurrencies, but people when you say cryptocurrency, people think Bitcoin. It's money. They
Right.
think money,
Yeah.
and that is just very small specific part of it.
Right.
So first of all, I think digital assets is a better term because you have cryptocurrency and you
Right.
have crypto tokens.
Right.
And what Ethereum does, or the goal of Ethereum and Cardano and Dot is it's a smart contract platform. And how do you explain that to people? And they're not uh, uh, coins, they're not crypto coins, they're not cryptocurrency, they're crypto tokens, like you just said.
Right.
And imagine if everything in the future, as time moves on, I believe is going to be onto a smart contract, a digital contract. So imagine the title to your car being tokenized, put onto a blockchain. Imagine the deed to your house being tokenized and put onto a blockchain. Imagine medical records being tokenized, putting on a. Imagine stocks. See where this could go. Imagine art. Imagine a Van Gogh being tokenized and put
Right.
onto a. There that eliminates. So I mean the like when you have sports contracts are going to be tokenized and put onto a blockchain.
In
And
some
then
sense, what you're talking about, so I mean, specifically to entertainment, like we're talking about copyrights being tokenized, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
they're already doing it.
Yeah.
Imagine, okay, a smart contract is like a self-fulfilling contract that is you don't need any third party or mediator. You don't have to
Right.
pay your lawyer or somebody else to decide what went wrong or who went wrong. You don't have to have a judge to say you were a day late here or whatever. And it's, well, my dog got run over and I was at it doesn't matter because the
The,
judge will be the code of the contract.
the
And I
code.
know
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
lot for people to wrap their head around, but imagine like a sports contract. Say somebody, baseball player,
Right.
if you bat 300, you're going to get paid this much.
Right.
If you strike out constantly or whatever, you're going to get paid this much. If you do something wrong, you're going to get paid this much. If you
Right.
miss so many games, you're going to get paid this much. And it's a self-fulfilling contract. And you're going to get paid in real time in that. Imagine music. There's music that's getting tokenized. If a certain song off a certain record is tokenized and put on a smart contract, if it's used in a commercial, it costs this much. You download it as a ringtone, it's going to cost this, and the
But
artist.
in addition to that, won't they be able to? So there's a token, like put something in that where if that's used in a commercial, like that payment, whatever, I'm trying to think of the way that I want to say it, but basically, so clipping services, right? Have you and I talked about clipping services?
Don't
Okay,
believe.
so where we grew up, Burrell's. You ever hear
Yeah,
Burrell's? Yeah.
yeah.
So Burrell's paid people to watch TV, look at newspaper clippings, look at magazines, and if somebody's property was used,
Uh,
like a song or some copyrighted, a
we
poem
did
or
speak about that a little bit, and
yeah,
that was the data scraping that I was trying to tell you about.
right, right.
Yeah,
So that the tokenization kind of fulfills that purpose, right?
yeah. Ethereum as a whole, from what people try to find, see what I mean. That it's so hard, and I'm not good at explaining stuff either. So it's so hard to get people to see what you see or to explain it. But basically, right now we have the internet. I mean, it's the internet of information.
Right.
You know what I mean? So Google digitized libraries, and you know what I mean. YouTube digitized like your home videos and you know out. Facebook digitized social media. You know what I mean? We're moving to an area where not only are you going to have the internet of information, but there's going to be another layer over it, and that would be Ethereum, and that's going to be like a layer, an internet of value,
Right.
you know, and to be able to have a like a native currency on the internet, more or less, and it's a decentralized digital platform that that's the goal that they're shooting for. It's kind of like a world computer that all these contracts and stuff are, and all these blockchains, and they're all interoperable. You know, you can. There's so much to it. There's so much that you can do.
So anywhere that
Uh,
there's some
but
sort of contract, what we're saying here is that it's going to move to this system, whether it's Ethereum, whether it's Cardano, whether it's Polkadot, there's going to be a
yeah,
system where things are going to be tokenized.
I believe that smart contracts are going to move forward. Almost everything's going to be smart contract,
Right.
and I think that I mean everything. I think people will get paid in like real time
Right.
as time moves on. Why would you wait? Some of these cross border transactions and stuff like that takes weeks. The
Right.
cost of fees are tremendous. He was like, there's a good video that I can show you where guys like, well, how would you like to get paid every 5 seconds?
Right.
You're you say,
Yeah.
yeah, yes, I would, you know.
It really, that's the thing, is that it really, for the most part, trims out the middleman. I think when it comes to like house titles, we're probably still going to have intermediate people where, like, they basically they hold the security of the token for the title, of your house or whatever. People that act, you don't want secure things flying out there in the air. So I think that there'll still be those people, but like with anything, all of a sudden I'm seeing all of these opportunities where I've been hearing automation is going to take away jobs, right? And that's the part of this that scares me, is that, like we talked about Borel's clipping service. I think that within 10 years, they're going to have like a system that basically reports when you use the song, it's hooked to this token. That information is going to get shot to whatever processing mechanism, and you're going to get paid, like you said. So at that point in time, what happens to those jobs? And I think the same thing happens with like real estate lawyers, bankers, like the implications of the bank blow my
Banks
mind.
sweat balls, dude. They don't like this.
Right. Because, so the way that it works is, so like the Federal Reserve, which is not federal, by the way, at all, it's a private bank, and these central banks issue the money out, or the whatever, the debt or whatever, out to smaller banks, like, whatever bank is around you, like, Dave's National Bank or whatever. And they've never had access, because they've never had direct access to the consumer. right? Because that happened at a localized level, and all of a sudden you're not going to need that middleman anymore.
Right. And it's so much. The Cardano is a good example of like how important it is in the smaller countries and the third world countries, because it just makes things so much more efficient, and it helps the small guy to, like, there is no there. I, with smart contracts, just picture it, like, how many times have you gotten a bill in the mail and you're like, I paid that. I
Right.
didn't, you know what I mean? That's
Right.
gonna be a thing of the past.
Right.
Like, it'll be provable on a blockchain. Like, there
Right.
will be no mysterious bill that shows up and you're like, hey man, where the hell did that come from?
Right. Because Sally in accounting didn't do what she was supposed to do. Right.
It sometimes it's just good business.
Yeah.
I mean, if they threw out, you know, a bunch, how many people just don't fight it, and they're like,
Right.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's true, man.
It's, so I'm super excited about this because I think that it could bring about some really positive things, but I'm also really scared because I'm worried about what it's going to do to jobs, But I think just like when we were standing on the cusp of the Industrial Revolution, the people that um, sorted textiles were having a fit when like the cotton gin was invented, right?
Yeah,
And it's like the world didn't end there. We just figured out something different to do. And
I know. Yeah,
we now have more opportunities than we've ever had because of that invention. So we can't be scared of what's coming with this. I think we
people
need to.
constantly, they don't like change. I was talking to a guy at work because they were like, there's a couple guys that are buy gold, and
Yeah.
they just kind of, what I mean, it doesn't matter what you say or how to explain or how you present them. They got that cognitive dissonance. Their feet are dug in so much. So I was thinking, and it made me kind of smile. I was like, I'll ask you the same question. I was like, who's the two most influential people in like Bitcoin cryptocurrency in the past couple months? Who are the two people that are most notably?
My belief is Elon Musk and Michael Saylor at this point.
Okay, you said that, right?
Okay.
Elon Musk and Michael Saylor.
Right.
Them are the two I'm thinking of. And I'm like, what the hell did them two guys got in common?
Say,
Besides being super successful and being billionaires, you know what I mean?
what was the question?
I said, what do them two guys have in common besides being super successful and billionaires,
I think that they are. I mean, they're dudes to see the future. You know.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, they're rocket scientists. They're both rocket scientists. And I have this kind of joke, at work where people, I'm like, relax, it's not rocket science. We'll get through it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I got this buffoon that's eating ramen noodles, explaining to me about gold and what I should be doing
Right.
financially. And over here, you got two rocket scientists. Maybe they see something that you don't. You know what I mean?
That's
Am
exactly
I
right.
being, am I like,
No,
is
that's
that funny?
that's on point. Absolutely.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
good Lord, I don't see how people, I think, I'm going to stand with them.
Yeah.
It seems like everything that they've done has been successful, and they're smart. And like you said, they see the future. And
There's so
the smartest people in the room seem to
yes.
gravitate to it.
And if you're not listening to the smartest person in the room, you might be the stupidest person in the room, right? So that's one of the things that gets me about crypto in general is just how like everybody talks about, gold, silver, gold, silver. I like gold, I like silver. They're great, right? But if you have a chunk of gold like this, and let's say the power goes out or whatever, and you're forced to get rid of that gold, you have to go to a middleman to get rid of that gold. If you walk into the local store and you say, here's this chunk of gold, I want water, the 16-year-old girl behind the counter is gonna be like, I can't accept that. You know what I mean? Whereas with this, with a phone, you're going to be able to go, okay, you have a good, I have a good, bang, we're going to pay for it. I don't need my bank's permission. I don't need to wait for a wire. I don't need to wait for anything. It's bang. It's going to be instant, we're able to do that now. So
Yeah,
when
the people that say that, they don't understand they don't understand the difference between money and currency.
right,
And they don't understand the functions I was telling you about, liquidity and stuff like that. And they don't understand assets. They think, well, but if you have that list of characteristics that I've said before, take $250,000 worth, take $250,000 worth of gold and go to Canada. Try that.
you can't.
There's a number of problems you're gonna have.
Yeah.
You're gonna get to the border. They're gonna be like, "What the hell are you doing? And where did that come?"
You
You're
ever
gonna have
tried
to
to
have.
cross? Have you ever tried to cross the border with cigarettes? Because gold makes it
I
way
know,
harder,
right?
right?
But and you're gonna have to hire people for security. Okay, so that was one of the problems, right? Security reason.
Yeah,
If you have a chunk of gold and you're an 80-year-old woman and you're, what I mean, somebody like myself, I could just take it from her.
right,
I can't take her Bitcoin.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
that's one of the problems. That's another
There,
problem for a
there's
setter. I can
like
send.
just with my phone, the layers of security that are on there just to block whatever wallet I might have or exchange. It's like as long as you're doing what you need to do, you've got bodyguards right in here, or I should say, bank guards, I guess. But um, yeah, that
It's
makes it.
cryptography.
Yeah, it's cryptography because it's like they can go. Somebody will say, "Oh, well, they'll take your phone." Well,
Go ahead.
you still didn't take my Bitcoin because you can't get into what's in there, right? And it's
You
not
don't
in
need none
there,
of it. You can
right?
have that 12-word seed right here. I
Yeah,
can leave my phone. I can leave everything right here. I can fly to Reno or whatever,
Estonia,
Estonia, and I
right?
got that 12-word seed right here. I can log on to the network.
And then you have
I
access to your
got my
stuff.
I got my money.
So
Try that
cool.
with gold.
Yeah.
You can't take that. And there's so many other things, like people don't understand. Well, land. Okay, let's talk about land. Land is good. Land's good. Everybody likes land,
Yeah.
But if you have 10 acres in Scotland, okay, the first problem that you got is it's not liquid.
Right.
You need liquidity for currency and stuff. It's not easy to sell a piece of land just like that,
Right.
It takes time, advertising, show people, whatever and whatnot. So you got a huge problem there. Another problem that you got is the portability problem that we spoke about. I can't stick it in my pocket, take it with me back home,
Right.
right? You can't. I mean, all these assets, you got to look at the pros and cons of everything that you're investing in and stuff. And Bitcoin wins on every one of them. And to explain, and for people to wrap their head around something like that, it seems sometimes impossible. Like they refuse to, and it makes me think back. Like, I know this is kind of abstract and off the wall, but way back, like Wright brothers, when they were trying to fly a
Right.
plane, people don't realize. They made fun of them. What do they call it? At first, they ignore you, then they make
Yeah.
fun of you, then they fight you, and you won.
Yep.
The Wright brothers.
Yeah.
Trying to, they thought they were crazy, and it was absolutely retarded. I don't know when did they fly? 1902 or late 18.
2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, something like that, right? Like 60 years later, we're on the moon. Okay, right? Am I
Right.
fucking retarded?
No.
Excuse my language, but it's like I just want to beat my head off the wall when some people don't. And this whole time, there's always the red tape that's being put up by these regulators and stuff like that. Another one of them is pedal bikes. Did you know that when they had started pedal bikes or whenever they tried to regulate that out because yeah, right? Get this. Because of they thought it was gonna like ruin marriages and stuff like that. Because a girl riding a bike, they just couldn't, you know what I mean? Isn't
Right.
that it was gonna they won't be able to control themselves sexually and this
Easy
is
girls
true. This
ride
is true
bikes.
stuff. I'm like, holy shit, the people. And when they come out with the car, when they first,
Yeah.
okay, you can have your stupid car, you had to hire somebody to walk in front of you with these flags because you were going to kill everybody on the road.
Right.
People are scared of what's coming,
Yeah.
and they try to regulate it out of it. You can't do it. It's not gonna. It's gonna happen again, and it's
Yeah.
happening right now. And you have right now, you got the time to stand in front of that wall of money that's coming.
Yep.
you know, or don't, whatever. I did my part. I tried to, help people or talk to them.
Well, I
But
mean,
it's like,
that's
Jesus, I just want to beat my head off the walls part. I want to order a pizza and watch iCarly or
what there are easier ways to live life, but that's the thing is, number one, I always say complacency is death, right? Like that's not a place I ever want
yeah,
to be.
no, for
Is a
sure.
place where I come home and I do the same thing and my life is the absolute same day to day. We need to always be looking ahead and have goals. And I'm doing the same thing. And I feel like Ethereum, or these platforms like Cardano and Polkadot, they're opening up the next level. And like you said, it's a big tsunami and nobody sees it coming. But it just takes away my words because I don't even know how to say this is the thing. I can see it. I'm telling you now. But let's get back to the function of Ethereum, Cardano, whichever one you want to use. I don't care which.
Well, Ethereum is the granddaddy, and maybe it does do the. It's just going to take time. It's
Right.
going to take time for Ethereum because they, like I said, like you said before, they get the first mover advantage or whatever,
Right.
and that is true. That there's no doubt about that. And I think, don't get me wrong, kind of like when the internet popped off back in late 90s or whatever, there was that .com bubble.
Yep.
Everything was coming up. Well, when something starts having a move like this, whatever, it brings out all the snakes and Ponzi schemes and crazinesses. There are so many scams and so many. I really do believe like 95% of these tokens and cryptocurrencies are going to go away.
Right.
They're going to fail. There's just not room for all of them,
Right.
you know. But if there's cryptocurrency, there's smart contracts on the Ethereum network, and from we got to get in on DeFi. We got to discuss that, what that is,
Because Dean,
decentralized finances, NFTs,
so
NFTs.
let's in relation to Ethereum, let's talk for a minute about DeFi. Do you want to do that now, or do you want to dedicate a whole show to it? I mean, I know it's something that we can dedicate a whole show to, but like
Good.
I think that gives people the meaning of why this is happening, what's happening, where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if it's just a short description.
No, DeFi is just decentralized finance, is what it is. Instead of you going to a bank or whatever, we have these platforms where I can put my Bitcoin on there and I can earn. All right, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Say you go to the bank right now, or right now everything's free, money's free, whatever. But you go and you borrow and you pay 12%, or say Sparky's got $20,000, he puts it in the bank. He's earning 0.02% interest, which is pretty much nothing. Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Uncle Sam. But you earn that. Then I go and I borrow that money, which is kind of bullshit too, because people need to understand what fractional reserve banking is first, which is crazy. But then I go borrow that money theoretically. This is how this works. You deposit money, you earn like basically zip for interest, and then I go borrow money and I pay 20-25% interest. But it's just crazy, right?
Yeah, they're making money off of your money and
Right.
not giving you any money.
So let's say I had Bitcoin and I put it on this platform or whatever, and then I want to loan it out. Then I'll earn maybe 10% interest. And Sparky wants to borrow it, he borrows it and pays 10% interest.
Right. Because
it's a win-win for us, right?
Because,
we don't need a bank, we don't need the middle. It's on a smart contract platform to borrow and lend.
And people are going to say, how does that work? But if let's say I say, hey, Jimmy, I need to buy a house. I need to borrow 50 grand, right? That becomes tokenized and you become associated with that token somehow. I don't know how that's going to work. So if I default on the loan, what happens? Jimmy gets paid, right? Jimmy gets to either liquidate the house
right?
or, whatever. There'll probably be some sort of security company
That's where the
involved.
tokenization is going to fall in with some of the stuff. Like when you're buying the house, you're putting up so much Bitcoin, and whichever way that token's going to go to
Collateral.
wherever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's still going to work that way. Absolutely. Okay.
And you don't need a mediator. So
Right.
it's just like what Netflix did to Blockbuster. Wrap your head around this, people. What
Yeah.
did Netflix do to Blockbuster? Okay, what did Napster do to the music industry? What
Yeah.
did Uber do to the taxi cab? You know,
Yeah.
it's happening again right now.
Yes, with DeFi. I mean, like,
NFTs.
so yeah. So okay, so we touched on DeFi. That's where you're going to be able to take out loans. So I want to touch on one more thing about DeFi, especially for those that are like, um, I don't want to use the negative term of social justice warrior, but for people that are concerned about discrimination in the financial markets, it doesn't matter if you are
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what race you are, what gender you are, what what orientation you are, whatever.
No,
None
it's
of that
governed.
matters because it comes down to the contract and the computer is going to regulate it. So there's not going to be some dude behind a desk going, no, I don't like, insert the blank,
That's a good point. It's governed by math and code.
math
There
and code.
is no committee. There is
Right.
no, it's a when it's decentralized, if you're going to change that code or if you're going to, but it has to be governed by, they have governance tokens and stuff like that. And it's decentralized. Nobody controls that except for
Right.
the shareholders out of an abundance, like all of us. You
Right.
hold so much ether or whatever, you're going to be able to have a say on the governance of them tokens.
Just a case in point here is we're trying to refinance our house right now because rates are really low, right? And we happen to not owe that much on our house because we've been very good. And like I don't have a new car. I drive something from 2000. I drive two vehicles from 2000, right? And you know, basically the guy that we're calling, it's a small loan, so he's not going to make a ton of money on it. So he knows that we're good at paying stuff because of our credit score, and so he looks at our stuff and he's like, like if I get to it, whatever. So
Yeah.
we were in conversation with him, ping ponging back and forth, and all of a sudden he just dropped the ball, right? Because he's like, no, I'm not going to make that much money off you. But if we took him out of the equation, what we would see is that Mark and his wife are very good at paying bills. They have a phenomenal asset in the house that we have, um, and there's a chance for us to lend money and make money back, right? But instead, we got some dweeb who's like, you know, he's probably playing like Candy Crush on his phone or something, when he should be doing work. So that takes that out of the equation.
And
So
it's exactly what you just said with they're not going to make much money off you. They're
right,
like, why bother? And the government right now with all the airplane monies, they discourage like us as we grew up and stuff. You're taught, go to school, you know, get a good job in your 401k, save your money, work hard and save.
right,
And that's what our parents do. And that was true back then. But it's a
yeah,
lie right now. It
yeah.
doesn't work right now.
You
What
know,
they want to do is they discourage saving. That's why they bring the interest rates way down so they can inflate the system and they encourage spending. They want you to
yep,
borrow debt and they
yeah,
want you to spend it
yeah. They won't
because
reward you for putting your money away.
no, they discourage you, they penalize you.
You know
They're
that
lowering the
that's the thing. Like I wasn't encouraged to save. Yeah, like some people said, you should have a savings account. And I was like, I don't understand why. Like, what's it do for me? And then, like I didn't even. I was so short-sighted in how I was raised. I was taught, grow up, get a job, take out a loan to get what you want, and pay it back that way. And that's like a
right.
really dangerous thing to teach somebody to take out a loan for stuff. It's like, I'm in my early 40s and I'm trying to remember. I think I had one or two car loans in my life. You know,
Mhm.
at this point in time in my life, I save up my money and I buy my cars outright. And granted, I'm not driving anything fancy. It's like my iPhone 6, my truck kind of matches it. So that's the thing, is that we've taught people to go into debt, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know, avoid that, man, because debt is slavery. You know,
Do you really understand what fractional reserve banking is?
tell me.
People, well, fractional reserve banking is basically like you put $1 in the bank. The bank now has the ability to lend $9 out. It's up to 90%. Back in the day, when they say money, oh, gold, or the US dollar is bullshit, dude. And I'll tell you why. Because back in the day, you used to trade money or for goods and services. You traded, okay? You had money for goods and services. You either hiring a carpenter to work on your house, or you're buying a car, or whatever the hell, goods and services. You had money. Now we trade debts for promises. I mean, that dollar that you have, that's not money. That's debt. That's a promise that you will get. Since 19. I just want to slam my head off the table.
No. So what you're getting at is that our dollar used to be worth something. You used to be able to walk into, I would say, a bank or some sort of an exchange and say, I have $1. I'll trade this for $1 worth of silver, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not like that anymore. We're back to
No, I mean, you ever look at the national debt clock?
and I don't, dude, it gives me nightmares.
No, but look at it. And so when you drive down the road and I don't know if you're in like Bangor area or anything, there's that hobo that sits on the corner.
Okay.
And you drive by and you have that thought and you realize that guy is $29 trillion more wealthy than your government.
Yeah.
Things will start to click a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Am I fucking nuts here?
The holy cow, yeah. Well, and so that goes into a whole other thing. Like, is it even worth it to work? You know what I mean?
Hey, I gotta grab something to drink. I'll be right back.
Okay. As I sit here and contemplate whether or not I should quit my job and go live under an overpass, I'd be 29 trillion richer. Sorry, I was just talking to nobody. Okay. So we touched
I think we both are.
I know.
Nobody's listening. I think we both are.
That's all right. So we touched on DeFi. Let's move to NFTs. So when I first heard about it, I was like,
NFTs.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. But now that I'm thinking about it, it makes way more sense to me. So tell us about NFTs.
NFT, short for non-fungible token, is kind of like digital art or digital collectibles.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of like artists. I think the guy that does the artwork for Batman just did an NFT, sold it for like $37,000.
William Shatner, didn't they just do something with William Shatner? They took his picture, something that was sold as an NFT for some insane amount of money. Yeah,
probably. I think he's a very crypto friendly celebrity. I know that I don't know which. You remember, everybody remembers baseball cards, basketball cards, and stuff like that. I don't remember if it's Topps or Donruss or what it is, but I know that they're doing NBA cards.
I also heard today, garbage pail kids. You're an 80s, 90s kid. They're doing it. They're doing a special run. So,
no kidding.
What the goal of this is now that we have a blockchain and now that we can make something that can't be reproduced like Bitcoin, right, on the internet, because it's always been, control, copy, paste, that we can have a one-of-a-kind thing, which is not to say that you can't have a copy of whatever that garbage pail kid's going to be, because you can still hit copy and paste, but you can do that with the Mona Lisa too, right? Like, you can have a picture of the Mona Lisa, but you don't own the Mona Lisa, right? So,
but that's a good example, like Mona Lisa, where you're talking about with the smart contracts and stuff like that, and things being tokenized. Imagine like a piece of art like the Mona Lisa,
Right.
for instance. Somebody owns that, or government, or maybe, I mean, that's probably the most famous painting on the planet, but say a Van Gogh or whatever.
Right.
Somebody owns that, and they use that as like a hedge or a collectible. They appreciate in value. Imagine owning a fraction of that. If it's tokenized,
Ooh,
you
I
could
don't know about
own
that.
you could own 10% of it. I can own 10% of it. He can own 10%. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't have to like sell the whole paint. I could say, well, I need money, or somebody needs a new kidney or whatever.
Right.
I can sell 10% of my, and people are gonna snatch that up immediately.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be tokenized. When a piece of land, like a piece of real estate, or
So
a
that
building in New York.
that again brings into focus the term digital asset as opposed to cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so the way that this could work too is, let's say the Rolling Stones, they'll probably die before this is possible, but except for Keith, like
Keith
Keith will
ain't never
live, right? Right. So they decide, okay, we're not going to go with the studio. We're going to make the last album the one that we always wanted to make. And the studios always told us that we couldn't. And hey, do you guys want to buy into this tokenization of this album? So they can raise money by doing it. You, the consumer, own a piece of it. And when they sell it and it hits number one, you get profits from that. Correct?
Why not?
Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. It's like there's so many uses for this.
There is.
I think especially in the entertainment industry, um, all of a sudden, the Harvey Weinsteins of the world, the creepy old dudes that do bad things to people, the casting couch can go away, right? Like I see you shaking your head. It's like this could free us from so many things, including like horrible stuff like that. So, like when you think about that from democracy or freedom standpoint, it's like, okay, we don't have to play these games anymore to get what we want. My big thing is that so I have kids, and I don't like watching stuff where there's a lot of foul language, there's like gore, nudity, whatever. It's like, so if somebody tokenized some, a clean movie studio, I'd buy that token, because I want to see that for my kids. I want to see that for me, so I don't have to fill my head full of more trash, which it's already full of it. So
Picture fraud is another good example of that, and I know for a fact that one of them, Louis Vuitton or something like that.
Mhm.
It's a famous purse or wallet,
Yeah,
or whatever the hell.
okay. Yeah,
It's I mean, these things sell for thousands of
right.
dollars. They're starting to embed these little chips in them, and them chips are on the Ethereum blockchain, and they're tokenized.
So
So
you're not going to be buying counterfeits. You're going to be buying the real deal, and you'll be able to
it's
know it
impossible to counterfeit without
right,
that.
without
Without
that
that,
chip.
yeah.
So
That's something.
here's the question: what happens to the smart contract when that asset expires, when that asset is burned in a fire, when that asset is stolen? I guess in the case of stolen, um, it's actually good that the smart contract is still there, because if anybody ever tries to sell it, the token is going to be connected to it. But
And it just falls to the wayside of the blockchain. Like something that we never touched on with Bitcoin is there's actually 21 million of them, but in all actuality, it's probably more around 17 million of them,
yeah,
because there's millions of them that are in hard drives or in landfills that people never knew that it'd be worth
yeah.
anything.
Well, take for
If
instance,
you lost, or if you send it to a wrong wallet or whatever, the coins are gone forever.
2017, I sent my buddy $10 in a Jack's wallet in Bitcoin. And I was like, hang on to this, just watch it. I was trying to be the ambassador. And I
Yeah.
just heard from him, and he was like, so do you have the keys to that Jack's wallet? And I'm like,
See,
no. So that Bitcoin is gone forever. And granted, it's 0.000 whatever, it's $10 when it was 17 grand or something. But, at the same time, it was also a good lesson. I said, okay, so that Bitcoin is gone forever, A, and B, that $10 now, I can't remember where I bought it, but I think I bought it around 12,000, and I think that would have made it like 80 or $100. And I'm like, you had one job, just hang on to that Bitcoin, right? So I don't care that we lost that Bitcoin, but use that as a lesson now.
Right.
Don't
Well,
lose
by you
Bitcoin.
throwing that $10 away back then, made my Bitcoin like 1/100%
Right,
more expensive.
right, because that's the trick, you know. That's how, man, it does make your Bitcoin worth more because there's only going to be so many more. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to print anymore. So
And I think you're gonna have a real squeeze in the next year and a half or whatever. Because like 80 something percent, I think we're up to like 88% of all the Bitcoin that's ever going to be out there is already out there.
yeah,
So between now and the year 2140, there's only like 2 million Bitcoin going to be mined in
right.
that, and or 18 like
But
3 million, somewhere around there.
the value of that Bitcoin is going to be drastically larger than the first ones that were mined. So
Well, if you figure, even if you go with the biggest number of 21 million Bitcoin, there's
right,
like 43 million millionaires just in the United States alone. Not
right,
every millionaire can even have a whole Bitcoin.
right. That's
That shows
crazy.
you how scarce it is.
Well,
If,
and
if you at 50,000, $1 million, that's only 20 Bitcoin.
right.
20 Bitcoin is a million. It's $1 million.
You know, I guess that brings up infinite fractionability that you have in Bitcoin, right? Because you can go the way that
Well,
for those of you who don't know, it's not like $1 or it doesn't go down to a penny. It goes in what they call satoshis, which is 0.0000 whatever. You can go backwards on that zero chain like almost forever, you know. So
right now it can be divided 100 million times.
100 million times,
One
right?
one Bitcoin can be divided 100 million times.
So it's
But
not
you can update that code and change that as
okay
time goes on if needed.
if needed. So if you're worried about poor people never being able to buy Bitcoin, they're always going to be able to buy some,
Mhm.
because you can go that far back. It's not like, oh, a penny is worth a million bucks and that's where the buck stops. It's like, no, the
Yeah, that's a big one. I'm glad you had mentioned that because a lot of people, well, I can't afford that. They're like, wow, $50,000 Bitcoin that's already way out beyond my reach.
did I
Like, no,
tell
man, you can buy $10 worth or $5.
so another guy that I was working with, I may have already told you this, but he bought $45 worth of Bitcoin. I bought it for him in 2018 or 19, 2018, I think. I was talking to him about it. He's a guy that plays scratch tickets, and I was like, dude, stop spending your money on scratch tickets and start buying Bitcoin, right? And he bought $45 worth, stopped mentioning it, whatever. So I was like, I held the Bitcoin for him, and I was like, I'm going to bring this to you in 2 years, and we're going to talk about this, right? And he was like, yeah, whatever. So I said, just the other day, I said, Bob, I said, you remember that $45 you spent? Yeah. And I reached over to his phone because I had put a Jack's wallet on it, and I sent it over to him. And I said, look at how much that's worth now. And his jaw just dropped. It was worth 180
Yeah.
bucks or something, you know?
I love I'm fascinated with the people's like the people that buy Powerball and stuff like that. And them same people that tell me that you look at me like all slack jawed, like
Yeah.
I'm going. I'm like, you realize that the odds of you winning that Powerball, is like getting attacked by a shark and struck by lightning while riding a unicorn. Right? You realize that. But I'm crazy for this.
You know, I've never been a gambler. Like it just never, which is funny because I'm a pretty impulsive person. So you would think that the two would equate. But when I was a kid, I was told a lot, when we win the lottery, we'll go to Disneyland. And guess what? We never went to Disneyland because we never won the lottery. But I remember saying it to somebody much wiser than myself, something about buying lottery tickets, not that I was going to, but that I thought it was stupid. And he said, Mark, he goes, when you're buying those lottery tickets, he said, you might as well take dollar bills as you're driving down the I-95 and light them on fire and wait for them to burn halfway down and then throw them out the window.
Yeah.
He said,
Isn't that funny how the SEC is like you got to regulate the shit out of it because you don't understand about we're just trying to protect the people, and you guys don't understand how trading and stuff works. But lottery's legal. The lottery's legal.
And not only that, not only is the lottery legal, they're the ones running it, right? And like
Yeah, why not?
praying
Very lucrative.
that, so the state, like the state, not our state, you know, in particular, but the state thinks that it's perfectly acceptable to prey on people's impulsive nature. You know, like how much money do they bring in every year from the lottery? That's ridiculous. You know,
How
like,
many from just each drawing?
well, you know,
Like
like,
you winning 200 and something $1 million from the
okay,
Powerball.
do you
How
okay?
much money?
So I'm going to tell everybody out there a story about you and me. I don't know if you remember this story or not, but so you and I both stayed back when we were seniors in high school, right? So we didn't have enough credits. We both kind of screwed around early on, whatever. So on class meeting day, Jimmy and I would get together and we would have meetings of the 13th grade. That's what we said. And I was the president, he was the vice president. And we would switch positions like every couple months. And we would talk about fundraisers that we wanted to do for our class trip. And what we decided we were going to do is sell drugs. But we decided we were only going to sell drugs to other schools so it wouldn't negatively impact
Yeah.
our fellow students.
I was going to be on the cover of Farm and Garden.
So, but it's the same thing, man. It's like, you know, they're taking advantage of people with the lottery, and like that's 100% okay. How is that okay?
Well, when you win the lottery, Spark, you're gonna, hey, when Bitcoin hits 100 grand, I'll take you and your family to Disneyland.
Oh, I have no interest in going to Disneyland now.
All right, well, the hell yeah.
I'd rather. I'm trying to think of where I'd rather go. Probably to camp. You know, like
Camp.
that's more of my speed. I don't like waiting in line, and I don't like, you know, a bunch of people. So
start coughing and sneezing, they'll part like the Red Sea.
Well, then there's
COVID
that,
stuff.
right?
Yeah.
All right. So where else do we want to go with Ethereum and smart contracts?
I mean, smart contract is kind of like a global computer. That's going to be the.
This is what people need to know when we're talking about Bitcoin. It isn't follow me and get rich. It's no. Things are changing. Things are not going to be the same, right?
Yeah, absolutely not. No.
So we can choose to go with the new normal, or we can choose to make our new normal. And our new normal could be really good with a whole lot less of all the things that you're worried about. Putting your kids in debt, discrimination, you know, being a financially wise community again, you know, which we haven't been for a long time. But people need to put that into action.
And I realize that most of the people that are in this space are just chasing money. They want to get rich overnight, and I, you know, and I get that too. But you can, if you dig a little deeper, you'll realize that this whole blockchain thing, what it's going to do to the internet. And like I said, the Ethereum you have right now, the internet of information. I believe this is the internet of value, and everything's going to be digitized in a way, and that's kind of like a large decentralized computing platform is what Ethereum and Cardano and stuff like that. I remember you saying something about Africa and Cardano in the last one, and I know they partnered up with government over there, and what they're doing is they're starting to make laws and stuff on a blockchain, and it makes it so much more efficient. You know, there's so many different ways of this stuff. Like people don't even realize, like VeChain. That's a good one.
I know nothing about VeChain.
All right. Well, VeChain is like a tracking blockchain. Okay. So imagine like in their partnership with Walmart already, and there's several other things that people don't even realize. They're like, what? Well, yeah, they get some people that have a lot of money pay really smart people to investigate stuff and to look into, how to better in their business and stuff. And they're partnered with Walmart. And imagine if you had a smart contract that tracked stuff to and from. So if you had bought a butterball turkey or whatever, they know exactly within seconds. They can click if somebody gets sick or gets salmonella or something
Right.
like that. They can immediately check, and within seconds, what formerly would have taken them weeks or maybe months to find out, they can check. They can see what farm it came from, the people that working at the farm, the guy that's in charge of that one, to the truck that it was loaded on, the temperature that the freezer truck was on, the
Right.
temperature level of
Yeah.
the time that it showed up, and and that is integrated with other smart contracts saying if it's a day late, we're going to pay you this. If the temperature went below whatever, yeah, no, null and void. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that, imagine if you talk about the illness, imagine if the vaccines were tracked like that. The to and froms and the problems that solves. Another good example of smart contracts that people don't realize is voting. Imagine you guys
This
know all the bullshit that went on in this
this
past.
is the thing that really kind of cemented it for me, right? Because number one, I don't care if you're listening to this. I don't care who you voted for. Okay, if you don't want, so what I've heard a lot of is so and so, Joe Biden won. There's no debate, and it's like, wait a minute. If it wasn't Joe Biden, what if it was Trump and you didn't like Trump? You'd want every investigation done to make sure that we had a clean election, right? We all need to make sure. I don't care if it's Biden. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care who you vote for, whatever. We need to have clean elections, and blockchain is the way to do it. So, okay, keep going with what you were talking about.
You absolutely cannot manipulate it. It's fraud free. It's that trust thing that I was telling you. You thought with Bitcoin. Bitcoin cannot be duplicated. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be manipulated. You cannot double spend. That's the problem that the Satoshi guy solved and stuff like that. If you tokenize a voting platform or whatever and put it on a blockchain, you can have a goddamn bank account on your phone and you can't vote on your phone. Everybody got to go and then you're going to these centralized entities and these units and these voting counters, and then you're dependent on the people that count the votes and hoping that they're trustable.
Again, waiting for human error, right? Human and computer error. Whereas if we get the blockchain in place, then it takes
human error is just one.
Right.
One. There's human error, there's human manipulation, there's greed, there's emotional bullshit. I mean, whether you just can't stand this candidate or what, you know what I mean? The blockchain doesn't give a shit about your opinion. It doesn't give a shit. It doesn't care who the fuck you voted for. If you push this one or that one, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And they know that the technology is out. That Charles Hodgkin guy was preaching about that but the problem is nobody understands. They're like, who the hell is this weirdo talking about blockchain?
So here's
a very intelligent guy that solves your damn problem. Instead, you're out there throwing rocks through windows. But it's whatever.
I get it 100%. Like, everybody should want that, right? The issue is, I think that
unless you want to manipulate the system.
That's right. So, and I believe that the people that are already in place would like to manipulate the system, but all of a sudden, I think that the American president, especially, would look extremely different if we had honest elections. And Trump, whatever, you can say whatever you want. He's a symptom of something else, right? Obama was a symptom of something else. Every president is a symptom of something that's going on in our society. And I think if we could actually shine light on who we actually want to vote for instead of all the hype from the media, right? And we could be absolutely truthful in the information that we bring forth, then all of a sudden America looks like a really different place. And maybe we get that president that can actually sit in the middle and work with both sides, which,
well, maybe government, I know this is far out there, but eventually as it goes down the line, decentralized.
That's the word. I love that.
Eh?
You know what? That's so my old
What's
boss. She always picked a word of the year, right? Whatever she was going to work on, and it was joy or it was adventure or whatever. And like I tried to do that a couple years in a row, and I kind of failed because I lost sight of it. But I chose decentralized this year, and I have been riding that train like it's free, man. Like everything, and I know if you're my friend on Facebook, you're sick of me by now, but like decentralization, realize what that means, right? It doesn't mean anarchy. It means we can all make a decision, you know, and people don't have to pay the
it's
company
it's it's
or the organization, whatever it is.
you're eliminating there's some things like in the human psychology and stuff like that that's never going to go away.
Yeah.
There's always going to be greed, there's always fear, there's always anxiety, there's always jealousy, there's these things that are a part of people, and they're never going to go away. And then when you have like a centralized, and that's just saying people understand what the difference between decentralized and centralized are. And when you have the top 1% or whatever that kind of make the decisions and are able to create a system that has been in place now for long enough that the most of the people on the bottom don't really realize, they don't really understand how fractional banking works. They don't really understand, and I'm not saying that I'm smart or I'm clever or I have any of the answers, or I don't. I graduated end of our class, right?
Right.
But just just like when you had separation of church and state, you know, if you had the separation of money and state, Bitcoin forces monetary discipline.
Yeah.
It forces responsibility, you
Yeah.
know.
Which we've gotten away from. I mean, 28 trillion in debt, you know,
But
obviously.
if you really understood what fractional banking is and how the system works and how the wealthy, kind of like the store wealth uh, thing. Okay, I'll touch on that again. I know we're running out of time, but store wealth was one of them properties on the. And if I had $1 million worth of bananas, let's say I got $1 million of bananas, you got $1 million worth of lumber. Mine's not a very good store, even though they're both $1 million.
Yeah.
Mine's not a very good store. Well,
Right.
you just wait it out,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, man, shit, I you gotta help me out with these bananas. They're
Yeah.
going bad. Well, these people get that money fresh off the printing press before inflation really has a chance to chew on it.
And we don't.
And, and they have the education and the know-how about
Yeah.
that. So they're able to take that money and turn it into, buy their own stocks back or turn it into, you know, assets or hedges against that system. And that's what creates the larger the wealth, the what that wealth gap between the rich and the poor. And we're getting them bananas a couple weeks off the tree. You know what I mean? By the
Yeah.
time it gets to us, it has less purchasing power. That's what's creating that bigger divide and bigger and bigger and bigger and divide. But you have the option right now to exit that system, to
Yeah.
step outside of it, to like
Proclaim
inflation's
independence.
like
Yeah.
inflation, like the U.S. and government policy and all that shit's like the goddamn boat, a great big Titanic, and inflation and stuff is the iceberg, and Bitcoin's the lifeboat. It really is.
Yeah.
You can step outside and like these rich people been doing for years.
But
They step outside with assets and go ahead.
you need to know that that lifeboat is there. You need to know that you can get into that lifeboat, and then you need to know what to do in that lifeboat once you're free from everything else that's going to sink, right? And I think that's kind of what we're trying to get at here is it's time to be prepared. It's time. It's not going to happen unless we do it. Everybody stands around and says somebody should, somebody should, somebody should, and it's like, no, it's on us. Like I hear about. I have a problem with QAnon. That's do you know what QAnon is? No, it's this. So it's this big, in my opinion, like psyop that Trump is really going to come back and be the president, and there's people, good guys working behind the scenes, and they're doing all the secret stuff and whatever. And like people hear that and they get sucked into it, right? Like people, there are whole Telegram channels, and there used to be like Facebook groups on QAnon stuff. And like understand this, if you're into that, I don't disrespect you for it, but the bottom line is, when I heard that, what I realized was, if you're so concerned about that, like nobody's coming to save you, right? This is not a movie, right? You need to do what you think is right and not wait for some demigod or whatever to come and sweep you off your feet or whatever. And it's like, we're in a dangerous financial situation. The Republicans and the Democrats got us here with a whole lot of other people too. Like this is
they have no choice but to keep printing.
right.
And there was somebody that made me laugh before. I can't remember what I read, but when the government shows up, they're like, "We're here to help." That's what
yeah, run away. Yeah. So anyway, I think we covered this pretty good. If you're still listening, please hit the subscribe button on YouTube, and we'd like a like if you could. Hate asking for that stuff, but this is really just for us. But if you're listening, awesome. And if you have any questions, we have an email. I don't check it, but I'll try to check it. It's sparkingconversations1234@gmail.com. Anything you want to say before we go, Jim?
No, I think we trailed off. We're supposed to talk about Ethereum smart contracts, but and we touched on it.
I think so.
Part.
All right. Well, we will catch you next time. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but that's a wrap for now. Thank you.
Later, bud.